Hello and welcome back to the yard where I have my little 1975 cabin cruiser now stored out of water. It has unfortunately been about 3 weeks since I got this craned out. So all the gunge that was dried on the side of it has now hardened like concrete. I wasn't able to jet wash it at the time, but I'm going to have a go now anyway and see if we can clear some of the crud off the hull, top, bottom and below. This is the state of it now, absolutely covered in tiny little flies up here. And then all the yellow top is just got accumulated grime there, which will hopefully come off. And then down below you've got all the old anti-fouling there, which has remnants of weed on it. And then underneath, if I can get under there, much the same, although a lot of that red paint is flaking off. This is my weapon, a little electric powered jet wash. It's quite a gentle one, not going to full blast it, possibly in case it goes through the fiberglass. And here is my lance. I've just given it a quick test blast and you can see it's taking off the paint, which has not adhered well at all, the red paint, and showing the blue underneath. So I think that jet wash is quite sufficiently powerful for what I want to do. Well, she was a very dirty girl, which is not always a bad thing, but it is in the case of boats. I've cleaned a lot of the muck off, but really it needs a jolly good hard scrub down as well, I think. It's quite alarming how many layers of paint, anti-fouling paint, came off the bottom. There was a red layer and a yellow layer, and there's a blue layer underneath that, and then the white, I think, is the original gel coat, or possibly painted gel coat, I can't really tell. But just paint layers flying off. And also, washing it has revealed, and having a good look at the underside, a couple of substantial chunks taken out of the fiberglass, and frankly, now looking at it, I'm quite surprised this thing was floating at all. Oh my word. That's... it's going to need a little bit of filler, to say the least. Wow. And there I was originally thinking the chunks on the port side were bad. These are mere scratches in comparison. This is all quite deep into the fiberglass and the gel coat. And as for this one, that's raw fiberglass under there with gel coat on top, and this is a massive great chunk. So yes, I'm definitely going to have to rebuild not just the transom, i.e. this bit, but I'm going to have to wrap it round and rebuild this as well, I think. How is it, no matter how much rinsing you do, there's always still some muck just sitting there that hasn't managed to be rinsed off? I sent loads of water down here, and it's just loads of muck that hasn't gone anywhere. I did jet wash all round the windows and loads of muck came out, but I rather suspect inside is going to be a bit soggy now. That hull was largely red before I started. And then underneath that was yellow, and underneath that is blue, and underneath that is the white. The colour of the water tells its own tale. Rather weirdly, on this side, the paint seems to have adhered much better, but just on this side. So the red's come off, but you can see the yellow mostly underneath. No sign of the blue. It looks like it was done completely differently. In fact, yes, if you come around here, the blue just starts there. So it looks like someone painted the back and one side of it with the blue. Oh look, a great big chunk out of the gel coat. Oh look, another one. And yes, I know there are lots of people screaming in the comments, David, just call it quits. You've bought a lemon, Just dispose of it for whatever small amount you can get for the boat and the motor and buy something else. But I don't really have a lot of money to buy something else. Well, I don't really have the funds to buy anything else. And, you know, it is a project boat. I might as well just carry on and see where I get with it. I think if I can take those chunks of fiberglass out and repatch them with new glass or new filler or whatever as appropriate. I mean, it was floating, so it's clearly not letting in huge amounts of water. Patch up the holes, and there are many little holes. Sort out a bit of the paintwork. Sort out the interior. It's still a project boat that can be done, I think, though it may take quite a while. One little job I want to do, I say little, it's not going to be little, of course it isn't, is the replacement of these guardrails. On first glance, they seem to be fine, but when you actually look at this one, you can see it's bent in towards the right, compared with this one, which it kind of swoops out in a nice outward curve, and this one has an inward bend to it. But worse than that, look how they're fastened. Or not fastened. A huge great gap there between the metal and the fiberglass, no trace of anything filling it, and no trace of anything filling it there. But if you look at the one over here, it's actually chock full of just clear filler. So someone's either got the wrong guardrails for this boat, although they do seem to be going through the original holes, which makes me think it probably is the original guardrails, but somehow the metal plates are at the wrong angle for the deck. So they've just put them on anyway and then stuffed it full of filler. And this one's even worse. I mean, look at that. I think it's doing its job because inside seems to be dry, but it's not pretty, is it? Surely those should be welded onto the guardrail at the right angle to fit the slope of the deck. Anyway, I've had a chat with the people at the yard here. They've come up with two suggestions. One, you could make some little wooden shims of the right angle and shape, little round ones to go underneath instead of the filler. I mean, you'd still put filler on as well, but effectively the wood would become a hole between the deck and the metal. I'm not a great fan of that solution. And the other one is you cut those off and you weld new little metal discs on at the right angle, as in the correct angle, to fit the slope of the deck. That is a better solution, I think, but it's beyond my capabilities to cut and weld stuff, so I'll have to get the yard to do that, which will of course cost me money. It's not urgent, it's just one of those things I want to do, unless anyone watching happens to have a set of guardrails for the front of a Micro Plus 600 that they no longer need and that have the correct contour. That would be lovely. Under here, the jet wash has taken a fair bit of the paint off, but left quite a bit of it just fleeking and loose. I can pull those bits off. Clearly going over with a sander will finish that off, but it's going to be quite an effort to lie under here and sand the whole thing, but it looks like it'll have to be done. Not one for today, I don't think. Let's have a quick peek inside and see how much of the jet washing came in here. For example, I know I've got those two holes there because there's two that with bolts in, two that just don't have a bolt in. That's one of the fixings on the outside for fenders or something. Weirdly, no dribbles of water, so it's either dried immediately or not a lot came in. It's actually looking very dry in here. I really did think around the windows that I was going to have soaked the thing with the jet washing, but they all seem to be pretty well sealed, actually. That's good. I tell you what though, it's an absolute greenhouse in here, sweltering. Yes, it's a very sunny day, but oh my, you could cook stuff in here, I swear. A final update, I think, on the saga of the water in the back cabin. I've just checked and it is damp down there. Now the boat has been out of water for 3 weeks, and that means the water down there must be coming from out there in the splash deck, because that has now got rainwater and a load of water from me just jet washing. But the leak must be above the level of the canal, because it's coming in while everything is dry underneath. Well, it wasn't a lot, but that's all I can do today. I've got an errand to run this afternoon, so I need to scoot off. Yet another quick visit. I think at current rate of progress we can look forward to this being back on the water in perhaps 10, 20 years perhaps. Stay with me, won't you? Cheerio.